A way to develop understanding and spark off their own development A2, and the positive and negative impacts of technologies is to directly relate it to what they do online. Now I'm generalising, but I'm guessing a lot of them play some form of online game. Make them think about 24/7 access, the security, the collaboration and the inclusivity in this. Now you might be thinking, how can we apply a business element to something like games? However, you're missing a key element of how the learners themselves game online and how they usually work collaboratively to work on things like raids. During this, work out how they're going to access, whether there are any particular restrictions on where they're going to be able to access, and the impact on each other of maybe one of them not taking up a particular role. You can look at mental well-being, for example, depression and loneliness. And in element A2, you could look at trigger cards. These could be used to demonstrate the types of platforms and how organisations use modern technology and get the learners to think about positive and negative impact using each of the platforms and how this would impact upon the decision to use them. This links in well with component 1 and component 2 as well in terms of choices, because these choices are the same whether we're looking at project methodology, a technology to use or an interface. Learning Aim B is something I'm sure the learners will really want to look at, as I've met plenty of aspiring hackers during my time teaching. However, it's about showing them how this works, but showing them how hacking is more than just this. Threats to data for B1 gives you the ability to highlight external and internal threats to data and what impact this has on both companies and individuals. It's worth showing them the Have You Been Pawned website. This will allow them to see whether or not they've had their data stolen and how this could impact their day-to-day life. In order to understand how these attacks are propagated, there are various methods you could use. You could ask them to map out a version of a phishing campaign and how they could use this to accomplish the task. Ask them to think about the types of questions they would need to ask to get personal information and whether there would be a way to do this with seemingly innocuous questioning. Looking at Facebook is a really good way to showcase how this can impact a company. Ask them, do they still use Facebook, or does its security issues give them pause? You could point to the deeper integration of Instagram, WhatsApp and Facebook, and whether they would use one app rather than the 3, or if they think this is a good idea. A really good way to approach cybersecurity is a set of free competitions for your learners to enter. For example, NASA, GCHQ or cybersecuritychallenge.org. Get your learners to engage with a competition where they can win prizes for it. This will mean that they deepen and develop their understanding of Learning Aim B while knowing there's a chance they could compete and win a national competition and prize. These sites also have lots of free resources that allow you to teach elements you may not be familiar with, or to teach them with the most up-to-date knowledge provided by those companies in the sector.